what the hell even is this anime at this point? Because every single episode feels like an entirely different show. First episode is kind of like hinting maybe it might be a reverse isekai. Come to find out it is, an isekai. The character gets transported, but it gives us a lot of backstory, character development, or characterization for the MC. It's a really nice first episode. Second episode comes in, we get to see kind of the character grow up, but we get this modern look at like an isekai and him creating his own organization that is in the shadows called Shadow Garden, and it's a really, cool second episode. Then we come to this episode. Episode 3, this is a completely differently themed episode in comparison to the previous two, and this is something I want to point out before I really dive deep into episode 3. Every single episode up to this very point has just been so different. Like, if you were to pick and choose an episode, okay, and just throw this out there to someone to look at, they would probably think that it's 3 separate shows. That's exactly what someone would say if they did not know it was just a part of the same anime. Because it really does feel like 3 separate shows when you watch, the first 3 episodes. But, okay, with that, let's talk about, episode 3. This episode is just... it's hilarious. Like, okay, that is the best way to describe the Eminence in Shadow episode 3. It is so funny for so many reasons, because it's like, this scene made me just bust a gut. I was laughing. When I saw this scene, I saw our MC Sid, or Shadow as he's known, and he's trying to do this most basic, generic confession. Like, you literally see him getting nervous. He looks cringy. Like, just everything about this. Him stuttering his words, to the way the camera angle is. It seems very, very, very cringy. And it's like that typical thing you would see in a story where, the girl's just gonna say, nah, I don't want to be with you because you're cringy, or, you're kind of just embarrassing or whatever. That's what you might see. But when you look at his entire way he confesses to her, she actually straight up says, yeah, sure, we can go out. And it's just like, wait a minute. So this man just got a princess to be his girlfriend for him doing one of the cringiest confessions that is known to man. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, his acting skills, I will give him, is incredible. Which, I guess that's a big part of his character that needs to be talked about. So Sid, or Shadow, whatever name is easier for our main character, what people want to know him by, he is someone that, as we know, wants to be a background character. He doesn't want to be in the front line, like front and center. He doesn't want to be, aka, the protag. He doesn't want to be the Demon King. He just wants to be in the shadows, basically like an assassin. Something like maybe the Dark Brotherhood or the Thieves Guild from Elder Scrolls, so to speak. Obviously, a little bit different, but that's still the point. He wants to kind of be in the shadows. So when you see how throughout this episode he tries his hardest to be in the shadow, he is pushed into the spotlight. And I think, once again, this goes along with what I said at the beginning of this video. The show feels just so different episode by episode, because it's like, if you were to start with this episode, just like if you were to watch episode 3 first, you would think that this is the normal cliche of the MC wanting to live a common, normal life, but he's thrusted into a very popular life, and he's forced to be the MC. That's what you would kind of view this as if this was the first episode to watch, because no matter what he tried to do, no matter what he did, he still caused himself to get a lot of attention. A lot of people noticed him, and he's a literal, I'm just gonna keep it real, he's a walking cliche. Like, the MC is a literal walking cliche. Everything about the character is just super, super cliche. I don't mean that in a bad way, because it's clear that the writer that has wrote the Eminence in Shadow definitely wants you to get that feeling. Wants you to feel that Sid is walking into every single cliche imaginable that is a part of this type of genre and the storytelling. That's what's going on here. I mean, even this final sequence at the end, not this sequence, I want to talk about this in a minute. This is a really good scene I want to dive into. But this final sequence at the end where he basically gets taken as prisoner because, he messed up, and the last person to really see his girlfriend, that, when they broke up at, this very important scene or whatever they were talking in, he was the last one to see, and she's missing, so he's taking the blame for it. And just everything about the situation just screams your typical cliche moment to create tension and to kind of showcase that, yeah, the MC is about to get in trouble because there's some form of misunderstanding, and most likely the person that the girlfriend slash, princess was engaged with, like Zenon, I believe his name, he is probably the one that is the evil one. Like, this guy's probably the evil one. That's what everything kind of points to when you just look at the way everything is presented, because she makes it very, very clear early on, like when she's talking to our MC, and despite the funniness, and I'll talk about all that in a second, she makes it very clear that she likes people with flaws. She likes people that aren't perfect, but she says that the person she's engaged with that isn't publicly known yet, like Zenon, he is someone that's without flaws. At least from her appearance and what she could see, she doesn't see any flaws. She sees nothing wrong with him. So she came to two different conclusions. She's like, either A, he's a really good liar, which is just like, whoa, or he's messed up in the head. And I'm willing to believe, the first one, that he is probably just a really good liar, and he probably has some very sadistic things hidden in his closet. That's my assumption, so to speak. And I'm feeling that the way the story is going, it's going to probably all tie back into Shadow Garden and whatever was going on with episode 2, with whatever's happening with that prince. But, yeah, I really like how this series mingles and intertwines cliches in such a way that it's funny. It's actually funny. It tries to take itself seriously, but not too seriously to where you're like, oh my goodness, like, this is just so horrible. It's not like that. I think it is a nice blend between the two, and it makes a lot of sense why this is definitely gaining a really big and popular fan base, because it's a good show. This is a legitimately good show. Now, I want to be very clear about this. I have not read the light novels. I know I've said this already in my first impressions, but I still want to say it just in case someone is tuning into this video and has no idea that I covered the first and second episode. Basically, I'm an anime only. I don't know how well this is being adapted. Like, I don't know how much dialogue has been cut or what content's been rearranged, etc. I'm a complete anime only. And I know when it comes to, light novel to anime adaptations, there's a lot of imperfections. That's the truth. But from at least my perspective of watching the anime, I am enjoying it. I really am enjoying this show. I've had really no problems with it. Even the wackiness of, what is this show? Why does it feel different every episode? I think fits very well with just what the Eminence in Shadow really is. So, yeah. Okay, with that, let's talk about a serious discussion. Let's talk about this conversation. So this conversation, I think, is very deep in a very simplistic way. And the reason why I say that is because Sid, or Shadow, he's, as I've already talked about in the video, he wants to be a background character. He wants to be someone that is not noticed, doesn't want to draw attention to himself, etc. And even though he's with this girlfriend of his and all that, and it's drawing a lot of attention, he technically still is kind of like this background character that is being used just to break off a political marriage. So he isn't someone that is relatively that big in the spotlight. And so if he would have shut his mouth, not said anything, and just kept going along like he did, he would remain as a background character. For instance, nobody would have batted an eye to him, everything would have been a-okay. That's basically how you could view it. And so when she starts talking about her swordsmanship, saying that her swordsmanship is bad, she doesn't like it or whatever, thanks to what happened with, her sister, indirectly she insulted Sid/Shadow. And the reason why is because his swordsmanship is very much the same. And even though we know he's hiding behind a mask, like, he's not showing his full extent of his abilities and what he's capable of because, he's trying to be a background character, it does not change the fact that his swordsmanship is what he likes, what he enjoys, what he uses. And so when she comments that the swordsmanship is bad, he takes that as a direct insult. And this kind of shows his inner personality and his narcissism that we've already kind of seen in the first episode. I'm talking about the literal first episode with how he kind of carries himself when he tries to be like this hero-like character. We've seen some of his narcissistic tendencies already, and I think that this is a perfect showcasing of some cracks in his character. Even though he tries to be this background character and not really stand out, sometimes he can't help his own narcissism, and it forces him to actually be kind of a protag. Because once again, I want to point out, if he would not have said anything, like, he feels insulted or upset, etc., that she said that, and he likes the swordsmanship, they would have probably been a-okay. Their relationship would have continued almost indefinitely. And on top of that, she probably wouldn't have been kidnapped maybe at the end. Something probably completely different or whatever might have happened at the end of the episode. So what I'm trying to say is that thanks to his own actions and not being able to hold back his own personality is what caused the events at the end. So I like that. I do like how the series has moments like this. Like I said, it has some serious moments where it takes itself seriously, but sometimes it just doesn't. And I think this is a really good blend of what the episode was trying to do. And this is really good to kind of give a lot of insight into this character, our MC, because of just who he is. It's easy to forget that he's all powerful or strong because it's not really trying to be in your face about it. It's more comedy than anything else, but he definitely really doesn't like people insulting things that he's into. So yeah, I like the scene. This is a really good scene for, the Eminence and Shadow. Now, I want to talk about, the white-haired character, this, girlfriend that, he gets in this episode. Okay, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Everybody's gonna say it. Everybody's gonna be like, yep, I wish that was me. That's what people are gonna say, because it's like, yes, so she's this girlfriend slinging money at her fake boyfriend and, being treated like a dog. People are gonna be like, yes, people that are Makima fans, basically, are going to be big fans of this character. And, I mean, I can see the appeal. I can, okay? I can definitely see the appeal to a certain extent, but I think that her character overall is hilarious, and I love her, because I do think that there is a lot of depth to her. I know that you could quickly just write her off as like, oh, she's like this very mean person that just, trying to throw money at someone, etc. But I feel like I said in my series discussion that I was talking about just a minute ago, there's a lot more going on with her. She isn't a cut and dry character. There is just so much depth there that needs to be explored and will probably be explored within the story. And I think that she's just an interesting female character. I think out of all the female characters we've gotten thus far, she's probably the best. I'm serious. I think she's so far the best because she has a lot of interesting antics going on behind the scenes that I kind of really do want to know more about. So yeah, the Eminence in Shadow. How did I feel about this episode? Well, I think I said it kind of clearly myself. It's good. It's fun. It's funny. It keeps my attention from start to finish, and it's one of those series that really has me enjoying it, week by week. I really do look forward to watching this episode almost as much as watching Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. That's how much I've been enjoying this. Now, I don't think that this is the best show I've ever seen. I'm not saying that. It just, my enjoyment shifts depending on my mood, and really been enjoying this. I really have. So, hopefully I'm not alone in that. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below if you enjoyed this week's episode of The Eminence in Shadow. If you didn't enjoy it, also let me know in the comments below as well how you felt about it. But with that, if you enjoyed the video, leave me a like, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.